Hi everyone, so there's a few of you who asked me recently to return to the topic of SE engagement for INFJs. And I understand that this is a topic that is of massive interest to INFJs because this is something that we all struggle with. I don't know if I will be able to bring new insights compared to insights that I hopefully was able to share with you in previous videos, because I've released quite a few videos on SE. So I also recommend that for those of you who are interested, if you type my name in YouTube and you add like SE, you'll be kind of referred back to all those videos, because there's not just one, there's a good few that might be of help. Of course, there's some theorizing that I developed in the Ecstatic Soul about this question, and there's some theorizing that I developed in the Infinite Soul as a further elaboration of that earlier conceptualization. And in case you guys are not familiar, of course, the Ecstatic Soul and the Infinite Soul are my two books on the INFJ that you can explore. The links are available below if you want to know more. All those themes are addressed in more detail in the book. So in the books, the Ecstatic Soul on the INFJ mind, INFJ consciousness, what is it like to be an INFJ, and you look at the INFJ personality, check it out. That's the first book. It has like over 130 reviews now, so plenty to get an idea whether it's a book for you. And the sequel that's released more recently, The Infinite Soul, INFJ Life in the Modern World, also takes up the question of SE engagements, but from a more embodied, practical perspective. It's really about how INFJs, given the mind they have, can interact with the world, which is also why the books go well together. You know, they are conceptually linked for sure, even though the Infinite Soul, like this one, is a bit more concrete and perhaps a little bit more accessible. I still recommend you read both. Now, in the Ecstatic Soul, I talk about the fact that SE is never going to be a conscious function for INFJs, at least never a completely conscious function for INFJs, right? It's not possible, if you like, to bring SE to the level of consciousness that you have naturally with NI, and that you can develop with FE, and even to a significant degree with TI. Not possible with SE, will never be possible with SE, but it can be more integrated, okay? Another way of putting it is that INFJs are constitutionally organized around this notion of alienation from external reality. And in terms of time, that means that we INFJs, that is, we have trans-temporal minds. We don't really have minds that are geared to be aligned with the present moment, which is why we find it hard to be in the present moment. Because when people say, well, you know, I feel like I'm distant from objects, I cannot really enjoy, I feel like I'm observing my own participation in a particular event, or, you know, even if I'm like visiting some park, or if I'm engaging with someone or manipulating something, I always feel like kind of somehow distant. That's alienation, but it's also a sense of trans-temporality. We just very much struggle to be in the now, in the way that dominant SE users is very, for them it's like supernatural, right? And there's a part of us that envies that, of course, because we perceive that as hurting in some sense our well-being, and we can understand why. Now, the idea in the Ecstatic Soul, and further developed in the Infinite Soul, is that the best way to engage SE for an INFJ is to engage FE, because FE is an extroverted function. It tends to naturally connect with SE. It's impossible to engage FE, especially in the real world, interpersonally with people, and not engage SE, even if that level of engagement is less conscious. It's still going to happen. So in some sense, the more you willingly engage FE, and you have quite a bit of control over that, the more you will naturally be engaging SE, and the more naturally you will be developing your SE acuity by the same token. So it's not so much about trying to force a square into a circle, if you like. It's not about trying to say, okay, I'm going to do all the SE activities in the hope of developing SE more. It's about just being kind to yourself and realizing that if you engage your FE, you're going to be engaging your SE. And I want to insist on the fact that this kind of FE engagement I'm talking about is more like real world engagement with real people. I understand this is not going to be completely satisfactory to people, because it sounds a little bit like wishful thinking. It's like, oh yeah, you know, if I engage FE enough, then it will all happen for SE. I understand it's a bit frustrating, but we have to keep in mind that this question is a difficult one, and there's no one-size-fits-all solution, certainly not. SE is a perpetual nemesis in some sense to the INFJ experience and the INFJ mind. Now, just to go a bit further on this, I do think it seems to me that there is quite a bit of evidence that one way of improving your SE is to focus on this trans-temporal quality that the INFJ mind has. So instead of focusing completely on sensory appreciation, focusing more on temporal incarnation. So the temporal aspect prior to the spatial aspect. And in this regard, it seems to me that practicing meditation and mindfulness can have impacts, because people who practice meditation and mindfulness a lot will tend to testify that they are more able over time to access the temporality of the now, of presence. So it seems that mindfulness and meditation improve presence. That's one way of improving your SE. Another way that has an interesting source refers back to this level of FE subjectivity facilitating SE engagements that I've been talking about. It was my therapist who in fact said that, we didn't speak in those terms, of course, but we were talking about how, a great way to facilitate this is through another's body. So if you engage with another's body, you need a partner for this, of course, because that also involves, or mostly involves, intimate engagement with another's body, taking your time, relishing the sensory experience of that, even if it takes time and it goes in incremental steps. There's the intersubjectivity of FE there, for sure, but there's also the sensory inputs of SE combined together. So in a sense, it's like, preliminaries, foreplay. That actually foreplay might be also a big contributor to SE development. Okay? Don't mean to be kinky, but that seems to be the insight that I've reached lately. I cannot wait to practice it myself. Anyway, before I move on, keep in mind that you can also support me on Patreon. There's a page down there. My channel depends on your donations. Patreon is, and giving is the lifeblood of my channel to allow me to keep going with this channel. If you subscribe from $3.50 a month onward, you can donate more monthly if you would like to. You get access to bonus content, more in-depth discussions of topics that I discuss on mainstream YouTube and in my books. There's a video coming out this weekend, so if you would like to access that, you can join, and those who are already patrons will be enjoying that very soon. You can also interact with me directly, suggest content. You get priority for me to address particular questions you have in videos, so consider it. And of course, drop me a like. Okay, see you soon, guys. Bye-bye.